Hello and welcome to the Happiness Is podcast with me, your host, Bruce Aitchison from Happiness Is Egg-Shaped. And today is a first. It is a first that I have wanted for a very long time. I have wanted to speak to someone from football. And here we go. Do I have a footballer for you? A man who has played for some of the biggest teams around the length and breadth of the country, quite literally. Scored a goal against Hibs, but I'm not going to hold that against him. He's now gone on post-career to do great things for lots of other people. Next week, there is a big event that is to be dual purpose. It's going to help his foundation and the My Name'5 Doddie Foundation. The work that is going on is absolutely magnificent, and it is all in his name. And I'm very keen to speak to him, and you are here to listen to him. So let's bring him in, the one and the only former Scotland international and Aberdeen football legend, Russell Anderson. Hello, sir.
Hello, Bruce. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. I wasn't particularly happy that you'd score goals against Hibs, but what's that feeling like when you score a goal in front of thousands of people?
Well, funnily enough, my first goal for the first team was against Hibs. So that's probably one of the ones I do remember most fondly. I'd been in the first team for a wee while and had, struggled to get anywhere near scoring. So that one, uh, at the time, we were going through a bit of a tough spell. Every Schofield was manager, and we were struggling to collect any kind of points. But that day, everything seemed to click. We won 4-0. I actually think we were 4-0 up at half time, and I scored my first goal for Aberdeen that day. So, no, there's nothing better, I suppose. I suppose it depends the position you play to an extent. If you're expected to score goals, I'm sure that the feeling is still the same. But if you're a defender or a midfielder, you pop up a goal now and again. Yeah, it's a great buzz.
Being a centre half or sometimes a right back, scoring a goal, do you have a celebration up your sleeve or does emotion just take over?
Yeah, and certainly for that one, wasn't expecting it, so it was more surprise than anything else, which you could probably realise when if you watch the footage back. So no, I didn't have a celebration. It was very much off the cuff. So no, I can't say I did.
And football's your love. Now, I'm keen to ask this though, because you went to a school that's pretty well known for throwing a rugby ball around.
That is very true. Yes. The grammar school in Aberdeen. So I had my first experience of rugby when we went into the first year because that was what you did. I'm still not sure if that is how they do it now, but yeah, the first couple of years it was introduction to rugby, which for some of the boys back then they would have played rugby before, so it wasn't really anything new to them. But for me, it was a completely new experience. There was parts of it I enjoyed, but I wasn't tough enough to play rugby.
There's
Uh,
rugby's full of people that were hopeless at football though, so you had that first choice in the bag.
Well, no. In fairness, there's some things I like about rugby that I think football could learn from. But in terms of yeah, the sport itself, I enjoy watching it. Being down to, I tell you, I was down at Murrayfield for the Six Nations just before lockdown. I think it the France game that they played. That was my first experience of Murrayfield, and I loved it. So yeah, I would love to go back actually.
Well, we need to organise that. So you keep playing football in what was primarily a rugby school. Did did the boys love and did the pupils and staff love to talk to you about that journey that you were on?
Well, I think after the first couple of years, you then got the choice to then choose football over rugby if you wanted to. So it was a bit of a no-brainer for me. But no, I enjoyed the time there. We actually had a fairly successful football team. It ended up being anyway. So still had to play in the rugby kit though, which was one thing. You were playing against all the other teams in the Scottish Cup, and they would have their nice football kits, and we would turn up in our rugby jerseys. So it was just part of the fun, I suppose.
And was that the ambition? It was always to be a footballer?
I think so. It just gradually kind of dawned on me over the time when I was in secondary school that you got asked to sign as an S form, which is the way it worked back then. Sounded old now, and as long as you kept progressing, the club were happy with you and you stayed in the system. And then at the point where they were offering up contracts for players to go full time, I was lucky enough to be offered the opportunity. I stayed on for 5th year, did my hires, just in case football didn't work out. But thankfully, well, it did to a certain degree.
I've not heard that phrase in S form for about 25 years.
Exactly. Tell me about it.
So you're obviously a smart cookie and stayed on, did your hires. Were you conscious as you were playing football that there was going to be life after it?
Yeah, I think the way that it panned out for me is I got quite a serious knee injury when I was 20, and I was out for over a year. And that probably was the catalyst for me to start thinking about what might come after football, because at that point I thought it might have been then. So I started thinking about options available to me. And in fairness, when you play football, you're lucky enough that you've got plenty of spare time that you can do something productive with it if you want to. So I eventually went down the route of studying to become a financial advisor.
And when you became that experienced captain that leads your club to silverware, but likened to McLeish and Miller and all those things, properly becoming an Aberdeen legend, did you put your arm around the young bucks and say, listen, son, maybe you should think beyond the white lines?
I think there's more and more players are accepting and recognising that they need to do something. If you are lucky enough to be one of the few that really cracks it down in England, for example, and you'll be set for life, then great. You deserve it, but there's far more don't than do, and I think there probably is a recognition of that. So players I think they're starting to look earlier at what the opportunities and options are for them once football's finished.
And you wandered away and you went and played down south, and then you ended up back at Aberdeen. Did it feel like you were coming home?
Yeah, it did. I mean, we still had all our family up here, and the way that it kind of finished off down south and injured, surprisingly enough, kind of summed up my time down in England. It felt like the right and the natural time to come back up here, and it turned out better than I could have hoped, because at that point I was still injured, so I wasn't sure whether or not I would be able to play again. So the way that the last couple of seasons worked out, I managed to get fit, and obviously we won the League Cup in 2014. So yeah, it really it was more than I could have hoped for, I would suggest.
There's so much. I mean, you played for. Were you an Aberdeen supporter?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're an Aberdeen supporter. You get to play. You then come back. You get to be captain, and then you get to win silverware. That's pretty much all of our dreams.
Yeah, because I thought I'd missed the boat, to be honest. Been at Aberdeen for 10 years before I left, maybe a bit more than that. And we'd got to a couple of finals, but hadn't won anything. So when the opportunity came back, I'm honest enough to say, first and foremost, I was thinking of trying to get fit more than anything else. So winning silverware was probably the furthest thing from my mind. But yeah, the way it panned out, I couldn't have asked for it any other way.
So we've got this event coming up. We want to try and raise as many pennies as possible to split between your foundation and the My Name'5 Doddie Foundation. You didn't have to do this. What was the motivation for you to set up the Russell Anderson Development School?
So the thinking behind it was when I came back from England, I was approached by Sir Ian Wood through his Wood Foundation, and he was keen to set up some kind of physical activity, football essentially, for children in maybe the underprivileged areas of the city that couldn't afford perhaps to access football sessions, football training, that kind of stuff. So that's where it started. After school clubs, the first one was in Tillydrone Riverbank Primary School, and it's just really grown arms and legs since then. That we've still got after school clubs, but by far the main scope of work is actually within school timetables. So we're actually working in 9 schools now, full-time coaches, just providing health and well-being programs to the children. But there's other bits and pieces going on now. Like I say, it's growing arms and legs for volunteering opportunities, employability, health and well-being, mental health awareness, practical cooking sessions. We've kind of branched into tennis now. Actually, I would love to get some kind of rugby involved, because my whole point behind it is I want to give the kids an opportunity to experience different things that they might not get the chance to. Football was the obvious one, but like I say, we've recently just started up the tennis with Tennis Scotland. But like I say, I think the rugby would be another good one, to be honest.
You must be massively proud of that.
Yeah, well, it's 10 years this year that we'll have been in. And I think it's funny because the first week that we've had that after school club was, I think it was May the 15th. So it's almost 10 years to the day when the golf day will be. In the following week, we've got a ball to kind of recognise and celebrate that. So we started off, I think, with 40 kids in the first after school session. We've got 2,500 kids a week now that we're doing. So it's come a long way from those early days. So yeah, really proud of everyone involved with it.
And as I said at the beginning of this little bit, you didn't have to do this, but Russell Anderson's the one that did it and put his name to it, and it will take up time and energy and probably pennies at some point as well.
Yeah.
What do you get out of being involved in this?
I think satisfaction from seeing how it makes a difference. Just the stories that you hear back from the schools, I think is enough. I think everyone involved now can see. I mean, initially I was taking the after school classes. Now I'm not hands on as much. Now it's more behind the scenes stuff, where fundraising, raising awareness, developing opportunities, that kind of stuff. So it's very different, my role in it now from what it was. But I'm really proud of the staff that we've got. They provide a really good service, and like I say, the first school, we've been in there 10 years, so they're well known in the area. The kids look up to them, and they're role models for them, which means a lot, to be honest.
I absolutely love it. I think it's fantastic what you're doing. So we have these fundraising events. The golf day is one of those. Where does that money go? What does the money pay for?
So it pays for the ongoing delivery of the sessions that we're doing. So I use the practical cooking sessions as a perfect example. It costs money for ingredients. We've got one of the local chefs, Kevin Dalglish. He generously gave up his time to deliver these sessions for the kids, just to give them the experience of doing it. Like I say, the ongoing delivery of the sessions, it goes to pay for the coaches, and yeah, so the money raised, any, will be greatly appreciated and well received.
It's amazing how small the world is, because Kevin Dalglish's brother is a good mate of mine, and he did well to get out of Hoyk and head north.
Yeah, no, Kevin's been really supportive of it. He's been great, because again, same kind of thing. He didn't need to do it. He offered up his time, and the kids have loved it. To be honest, it's been great.
Fantastic guy. His brother's a great guy. He does a lot in the community in Hoyk as well, so I'm not surprised by that involvement. Are you a golfer yourself?
Yes, we use that term loosely. It depends which one of me turns up, to be honest. But no, I'm looking forward to it. Meldrum House is a great course. Hopefully, we get a nice day for it, and yeah, I will. I'll be looking forward to it. It'll be a day out of the office, which is always a bonus. I better watch what I say with that. But no, yeah, I do like a game of golf. Yeah.
How easy is it to get your mates involved? Like the Jim Layton and John Hewitt see Russell Anderson come up in the display of the mobile phone and roll their eyes and go, "What does he want now?"
I'm not sure. Funnily enough, I bumped into John last night. I was at the Player of the Year Awards for Aberdeen, and John was there. So I was asking him if he's been brushing up on his for the question of sport part of it. So yeah, I think they're good guys. Jim's. Well, I played with Jim when he came back to Aberdeen in his yeah twilight, and he then obviously stayed on
Jim's
as
twilight lasted a while.
yeah, exactly. And then he stayed on as a coach for a while as well. So no, I've got a lot of time for Jim. And he plays plenty of golf, I've heard, over the last couple of years. So he should be looking forward to it, I would have thought. And Johnny's a good player as well. Very good.
Brilliant. I love it. I'm so excited by it. I can't wait to get involved. So there's still a few seats left at the dinner. There's some spaces left for the golf teams. Give us a rallying call for what it would mean to have more people there, to have more pennies in the pot, and for the work that goes on.
Well, I would encourage, if anyone's available next Thursday, then it will be a really good day. Like I say, the venue is first class. There'll be some good banter there, and most importantly, it is raising money for two very worthwhile charities. Clearly, I'm going to say that, but the stuff that Doddie Weir does as well is really special. So I think if you're thinking about maybe helping out, then like I say, it would be well received. We would really appreciate the support.
Russell, I've absolutely loved speaking to you. I'm really looking forward to meeting in person. Thank you so much for joining us, and all the very best, and I look forward to it.
Pleasure, Bruce. Looking forward to next Thursday. I'll see you.
Great stuff. Thank you. Well, I love that. And there's going to be more. Let's face it, he's going to get hit up to come back and do a much longer pod because there's so much in there. What a career. And to keep putting back in and making the world a better place, building relationships, sharing experiences and making memories. I've heard that before somewhere. Russell Anderson, what an absolutely top man, doing great things using sport as the vehicle. I cannot wait to meet him in person. If you've enjoyed this, you can watch on Facebook and YouTube. You can listen on Apple, Acast and Spotify. If you've enjoyed it, tell your friends, leave us a review, and hopefully at some point soon we will be able to meet in person. But in the meantime, please stay safe, and I look forward to seeing you all very, very soon. My name is Bruce Aitchison from the Happiness Is podcast, and my happiness is egg-shaped. All the best.